Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Employment Insurance Basics for Workers workshop. This will be facilitated by Kennedy Hughes, our public legal educator at the Workers Resource Center. Kennedy has been with us for about a year and a half now, and she has a wealth of experience giving presentations to Albertans on employment-related topics. My name is Fiona Buchanan, and I'm responsible for communications at the Workers Resource Center. I want to start by telling you a little bit about the Workers Resource Center. We are a charity that helps Alberta workers understand their rights through initiatives like this workshop. We also have a casework program that provides free one-on-one support for workers with things like job loss, human rights complaints, occupational health and safety issues, and much more. During the workshop tonight, we invite you to ask questions that you may have in the Q&A area, which should be at the top of your screen. If you click on it, you can type your question right in there. We will do our best to respond to as many questions as possible, but it will depend on the volume whether we can get to them all. And just a reminder that this is a public forum, so we discourage asking any questions that are personal in nature. And we just advise you to call our intake line at 1-844-435-7972 if you have any personal issues related to employment insurance that you need handled. You can also find our number on our website, helpwrc.org. Finally, at the end of this workshop, we ask that you please take about 2 minutes to fill out our feedback survey. If you've learned anything today, or if you have any feedback you want to share to help improve the workshops, we really appreciate you sharing this with us. Also, the feedback you provide allows Kennedy to continue to run these presentations for free. So please take a moment to fill out that survey. You can find a link to it in the chat on this webinar, and I'll send out an email with the link to the survey afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Kennedy, who will start the workshop.
Thanks, Fiona. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is actually the Workers Resource Center very first time putting on one of these public presentations that anyone can sign up for. So we're really thankful that you chose to attend tonight. And if I could just repeat something that Fiona just said, at the end of this presentation, you are going to receive a link to a Google survey. If you could take 2 minutes and fill that out, it allows me to continue spreading this important information for free. So we have a lot to cover tonight, and I don't want to waste anybody's time. We are going to begin right away. Okay, so employment insurance, or EI. An important disclaimer before I begin speaking. All of the information that I provide to you tonight is current as of tonight, but the employment insurance requirements can change sometimes. If you need any help with employment insurance or understanding any of your employment rights, please contact the Workers Resource Center. We're going to start tonight with a land acknowledgement. In the spirit of respect, we honor and acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional Treaty 7 territory, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, as well as the Ayaks Nakota Nation, the Tsuut'ina Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. Okay, so tonight we are talking about employment insurance, or EI. So what is employment insurance? It is a temporary financial support program that is ran by the federal government of Canada. The branch of the government that runs this program is called Service Canada. So at any point, if you hear me say Service Canada, those are just the government officials that are running the employment insurance program. So a good way to think of employment insurance is like a special piggy bank. Every time you receive a job from your paycheck, the government is going to take a small amount of your money and add it to the employment insurance program. More specifically, in 2024, for every $100 you make, Service Canada will take $1.66 per $100 and add it into employment insurance program. However, Service Canada is not going to make deductions on all the money you earn. They will only make these EI deductions until you have earned a certain amount. Right now, in 2024, this amount is $63,200. It's called the maximum annual insurable earnings. Any money that you make after this amount of money will not have EI deductions made to it. So for every $100 you earn up until $63,200, Service Canada is going to take away $1.66 per $100 up into this amount. Any money after that, no EI deductions will be made. What this means is the highest amount that you can contribute in 2024 to the employment insurance program is $1,049.12. This is the maximum amount that you can pay into the program currently. Now, let's talk about eligibility. What do you need in order to receive this financial support? First of all, you have to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. People who are in Canada on a work permit are also able to receive EI in some circumstances. For example, if you are here with the Seasonal Agricultural Workers Program or the Temporary Foreign Workers Program, it's likely that you will be eligible for employment insurance. If you're on a different work permit, your eligibility for employment insurance can depend on many different factors, like the nature of your work, the terms of your work permit, and some other things. You can go online to Service Canada's website, or you can fill out a service request form, and they will call you within 2 business days to provide more info on your specific work permit. You also are going to need to contribute money to the program in order to be eligible for employment insurance. If you never pay any money into this program, you cannot receive the benefits. If you are any type of employee, full-time, part-time, casual, temporary, the government is automatically adding your contributions to this program. The only time when it is your choice whether you contribute to this program or not is if you are self-employed, so you started your own business. Personally, I would always recommend making contributions to the EI program so that you have a security net in case something happens to your business. But if you are self-employed, it is your choice if you pay into this program or not. Also, another important eligibility factor is you have to lose your job due to no fault of your own. This means it cannot be your fault or your choice that you do not have work anymore. For example, if you hate your job and you go to your boss, you say, "I don't want to work here anymore." Unfortunately, that's your choice. You no longer have employment. You will not be able to receive EI payments. In order to get employment insurance, you need to lose your job due to no fault of your own. The final important eligibility factor for employment insurance is something called insurable hours. This pretty much just means any hour you have worked in the previous year. So if you worked 8 hours today, you have 8 insurable hours. Service Canada is going to look back at your previous 52 weeks or 1 year that you have worked. Out of that year, they will count up all the hours you worked. Those are considered your insurable hours. Right now, in Calgary and Edmonton, you are going to need around 600 insurable hours, 600 hours worked in the previous year in order to be eligible for many types of employment insurance. Now let's talk about some reasons why you would need employment insurance. You quit, you were fired, you were laid off from your position, you were too sick or injured to work, you had or adopted a baby, or you're acting as a caregiver to someone in your family who is very sick or injured. The most recent employment insurance application happened when COVID was super prevalent. COVID required lots of businesses to close their doors for mandatory restrictions. The employees were laid off during that time. It wasn't the employees' fault they weren't working anymore. It was COVID's fault. That's why they were eligible for the CERB type of employment insurance, Canadian Emergency Response Benefit. Now, let's talk about some specifics. As I just mentioned, if you quit your job just because you don't like it anymore, you are not going to receive EI payments. You have to prove to Service Canada that there is no other alternative for you other than quitting. So some situations where you could quit your job and still receive employment insurance. Number one, your doctor tells you it's unsafe for your mental or physical health to continue working. Then there would be no other choice for you other than to quit. You could quit your job and still receive employment insurance. Or if you are facing discrimination, bullying, or harassment while you are at work, there's no other option for you than to quit. You could still receive employment insurance payments in this situation. Finally, you live with your spouse or your partner, and they make more money than you. Your partner wants to relocate or move to a different city, and you want to move with them. There's no other option for you other than to quit your job. You would still receive employment insurance in this case. If you are planning on quitting your job, please contact the Workers Resource Center beforehand so we can help talk about your reason why to help determine if you're going to be eligible for employment insurance or not. What happens if you are fired? If you are terminated or fired with cause from your job, it usually means that your employer is going to tell you the reason why you were fired. Typically, if you're fired with cause, it means that you did some serious misconduct in your workplace that either disrupted their business, broke their rules, or put someone in danger. For example, if you steal from your company, or you fist fought your coworker, or if you showed up to work intoxicated. All of those are pretty bad, and your employer would likely fire you with cause. Service Canada looks at termination with cause as being the employee's fault that they are out of work due to their poor conduct. So if you are fired with cause, you will not receive employment insurance. On the other hand, if you are fired without cause, your employer is not required to tell you the reason why you were terminated. Unfortunately, this is the most common way that employees are fired. If you are fired and not told the reason why, it's usually not about your conduct at work. It could be for a lot of different reasons, like maybe the company is restructuring, or there was budget cuts, or maybe even the employer chose to go in a different direction. If you are terminated without cause, you will receive employment insurance because, as I mentioned before, it is not due to your performance or conduct while you are at work. It is your employer's choice that you do not have a job anymore, so you will receive EI payments. What happens if you are laid off? People can get temporarily or permanently laid off from their jobs for a lot of different reasons. Much like termination without cause, being laid off typically does not have to do with the employee's work or conduct, but is usually a bigger decision made by the employer. For example, they might not have enough work to keep their full staff. Or maybe they can't complete work during certain seasons. This happens a lot in the construction industry. It could even be the company restructuring or downsizing. Lots of people were laid off during COVID-19 because employers were required to shut their doors for mandatory restrictions. If you are laid off from your job, you are eligible for employment insurance. If you have or adopt a baby under the age of 18, you are eligible for employment insurance. These payments will need to begin within the first year that you either have or adopt your baby. What happens if you are too sick or injured to work? This is incredibly important. If you are too sick or hurt to work, medical or sickness employment insurance is your third option. 1, 2, 3, third option. The first step that you need to take if you are too sick or injured to work to see is check if your employer has any employer paid sick leave, also called sick days. You can figure this out by asking your manager directly or reading your employment contract or your company handbook. The reason using all of your sick days is option number 1. If you are too sick or hurt to work, is you will receive 100% of your weekly earnings. Option number 2, if you are too sick or injured to work, is see if you qualify for WCB or Workers' Compensation Board. You qualify for WCB if your company has coverage and if you are hurt or sick as a result of your workplace. This means you have to be hurt or ill because of your job. If you want to figure out if your company has WCB coverage, or if you qualify for this program, go online and Google WCB Alberta, where you can read more information and determine if you're eligible for this workers' compensation program. The reason WCB is option number 2 is you will receive 90% of your earnings. Your final step, if you are too sick or injured to work, is to apply for medical or sickness employment insurance. The reason this is your third option is you will only receive 55% of your weekly earnings while you are on medical or sickness EI. So, if you are too sick or injured to work, first thing you need to do, use all of your sick days. Second thing, see if you qualify for WCB, workers' compensation. Step 3, if you are too sick or injured to work, is apply for medical or sickness employment insurance. You can also be eligible for EI if you are caring for a family member of yours who is very sick or injured. If your family member needs emotional, psychological, or physical support, you are able to take some time off of work and receive EI payments as you care for your family member. Any questions before we continue?
We do have a question here from Guy, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly there. The question is a worker eligible for EI if they experience a substantial loss of hours at work?
Good question. Unfortunately, not. If you have experience of substantial loss of hours, Service Canada still looks at you as being employed in this case. You have to be out of work due to no fault of your own in order to apply. So in that specific case, unfortunately, you are not eligible for employment insurance. Good question.
All right,
Any others before?
Yeah, we have, sorry, Kennedy, we have one other question here. I'm not going to publish this one just because there is some personal information in it. But just talking about relocating and expecting a baby. Can this person apply for EI when relocating, which is a month before giving birth, and then apply for EI maternity leave after?
Yes, you can apply for both types of employment insurance as long as you have enough insurable hours worked in your previous year. So if you have 600 insurable hours, 600 hours worked in the previous year, you will be able to apply for both types of employment insurance. But as soon as your maternity employment insurance begins, your regular employment insurance will end. You cannot be on two types of EI at the same time.
Great, that's it for now. Thank you, Kennedy.
Right, let's continue that. Let's discuss some reasons when you would be ineligible or not able to receive EI. Number one, you voluntarily quit your job. You say, I hate it here. I don't want to work here anymore. That's your choice. You do not have employment anymore. You will not be eligible for EI. Number two, you are fired with cause. Usually means you did something pretty bad. You are fired for stealing. If you are fired and told the reason why, you are not eligible for employment insurance. Number three, you are part of a strike or a lockout. What this means is that all of your coworkers one day walk out of the business. They say, we're not doing this anymore. If you choose to be part of a strike or a lockout, you are not eligible for employment insurance. Finally, if you are incarcerated, if you are in jail or prison, you are not eligible for employment insurance. So let's talk about how much money you will make while you're on EI. You get 55% of your gross weekly earnings, up to a maximum of $668 per week. What this means is you receive 55% of your salary before deductions like taxes, EI contributions, other things. 55% of your gross weekly earnings, up to this maximum of $668 per week. It is important to note that the government considers all EI payments as taxable income, and federal and provincial taxes will be taken off of your payments. You will need to make an online account on Service Canada's website during tax season in order to get a tax form called a T4E, where you will have to claim all of the money you received while you were on employment insurance. This online account is called your MSCA, My Service Canada account. This is where you can view all important information about your employment insurance claim. So to clarify a little bit more, let's say, for example, you earned $500 a week at your job. You then get laid off. You have to go on employment insurance. You receive 55% of that $500, meaning your EI payments are $275 per week. You might think to yourself, $275 per week. That's not enough money to feed my family. Can I get a new job and still be on employment insurance? The answer is yes. You can get a new job and still receive EI payments. But any money that you earn through employment needs to be reported to Service Canada. We'll talk about how those reports look at the end of this presentation. For example, if you work 5 days at the beginning of May, but you are not going to be paid until the end of May, you still need to report that you worked as soon as you work. Do not wait until you are paid. File your report right away and let them know that you worked. Again, we'll talk about how these reports look in 1 minute. So it is a good thing that you are able to work and still receive EI payments. But if you do earn money through employment, Service Canada is not going to give you your entire EI payment. Otherwise, everyone would have a job and be on employment insurance to have 2 forms of income. So for every dollar that you earn, your EI payments are going to be reduced by 50 cents. So if you earn $1 at your new job, your EI payments will be reduced by 50 cents. To further clarify this, let's look at this example. You earn $500 a week at your regular job. You get laid off. You have to go on employment insurance. You receive 55% of that $500, meaning your EI payments are $275. You say that's not enough money, so you get yourself a part-time job where you earn $300 a week. You take all the money you earned at your part-time job and divide it by 2 because your EI payments are reduced by 50 cents for every dollar you earn. So take all the money you earn, divide it by 2. The answer is what your EI payments are going to be reduced by. So in this example, $150. Take your original EI payment minus $150 because you earned $300 at your job. That means your new EI payments are $125. Take the new EI payment plus the $300 from your part-time job. You now have a new weekly total of $425 per week. What this means is if you earn enough money at your new job, your EI payments could be reduced to zero, and then you won't get them anymore. Let's look at this example again. It's the exact same, but now let's say you earn $550 a week at your part-time job. Take the $550, divide that by 2, because your EI payments are reduced by 50 cents for every dollar you earn, meaning your EI payment is going to be reduced by $275. The original $275 payment minus $275, because you earned $550 at your job, means you will not receive any EI payment. So now you only get the $550 from your part-time job. No more employment insurance payments. Another common question that I receive is, can I go on employment insurance more than once a year? The short answer is yes, you can. But as I mentioned before, any money that you earn through employment, you must report to Service Canada. So for example, let's say you're working, you get laid off. You have to go on regular employment insurance. That's available for 40 weeks. Let's say after 20 weeks, you get a new job. So you still have 20 weeks remaining in this old claim. You work your new job for a little bit, then you get laid off again. You have to go on employment insurance again. 99% of the time, Service Canada is going to automatically reopen this old claim and allow you to use these remaining 20 weeks. 1% of the time, they will call you and say, do you want to reopen your old claim or do you want to start a brand new one? The answer is always reopen your old claim. If Service Canada calls you and you choose to open a new claim, you lose any weeks you have remaining in this old claim. You want to use all of the benefits available to you. So, in the very small chance they do not automatically open this old claim, the answer is always, I want to use my remaining weeks and reopen my old claim. We're now going to discuss the 7 types of employment insurance that are available. Regular, medical or sickness, maternity, parental, compassionate care, and family caregiver for child or adult are split into 2 categories. The first type of EI is called regular. This is the type of employment insurance you will go on if there is nothing preventing you from working. So if you're laid off, or if you quit or are fired for reasons that Service Canada approves of, this is the type of employment insurance you will receive. In Calgary, you will need 630 insurable hours, 630 hours worked in the previous year. Regular EI is available for 17 to 40 weeks. What this means is, for example, if you only worked 730 hours last week, you will only have 17 weeks of benefits available to you. The more hours you work, the more weeks of payment that are available to you. So for example, if you worked 2,000 hours last year, then you would have all 40 weeks of benefits available to you. The more hours you work, the more weeks of payments you will receive. An important eligibility factor for regular employment insurance is you have to be willing and able to work. This means you can't be off traveling or taking school classes. Service Canada expects that you are actively looking for a job if you are on regular employment insurance. On their website, they even recommend keeping a written letter of employers that you contact, including when you contacted them in order to prove that you are actually job hunting. Last requirement is that you are in Canada Monday to Friday in order to accept these payments. Next up is medical or sickness employment insurance. Again, this is your third step if you are too sick or hurt to work. Step 1, use all your sick days. Step 2, see if you qualify for WCB. Step 3, apply for medical or sickness employment insurance. You only need 600 insurable hours, 600 hours worked in your previous year. You are going to need a doctor's note that states you are too sick or injured to continue working. It's important to note that mental illness is included in this category. Medical or sickness EI is available for 26 weeks, which is equal to 6 months. And during this time, they do not expect you to be ready, willing, and able to work. They expect you to be resting and recovering. So during this time, you do not need to job hunt. Lastly, you are going to need to be in Canada Monday to Friday in order to collect these payments. The only exception is if your doctor has told you you need to travel for medical purposes. So if your doctor tells you you need to go to the USA for a treatment or a surgery, that's okay, as long as it does not impact your recovery time. Next up is maternity EI. This is exclusive for pregnant people. You must be pregnant in order to receive maternity employment insurance. You are going to need 600 insurable hours, 600 hours worked in the previous year. Maternity EI is available for 15 weeks of payments. You are going to need to provide medical documentation stating both the birth date and the due date of your baby. But a cool thing about maternity employment insurance is you can be anywhere in the world and collect these payments. So if you want to go to a different country to have your baby, you can do so and still receive your maternity EI payments. The next type of EI that is available is called parental. This is for anyone parenting a child, biological or adopted. There are two types of parental employment insurance that you can choose from. The first is called standard. You are going to need 600 insurable hours, 600 hours worked in the previous year. If you choose standard parental employment insurance, it is available for 40 weeks. This does not mean each parent gets 40 weeks of EI payments. The two parents have to split the 40 weeks. They can split these weeks however they'd like, but one parent needs a minimum of 5 weeks. So they could do 20 and 20. They could do 35 and 5. However, if the parents do not want to split the 40 weeks, or if there is a single parent situation, unfortunately, because one parent needs a minimum of 5 weeks, there is only 35 weeks available for single parents or for families who choose to not split this amount of weeks. If you choose standard parental EI, it's the same as the others. You receive 55% of your salary up to that maximum of $668 per week. You're going to need to provide medical documentation of the birth date or the adoption date for your baby, and you could be anywhere in the world and collect these payments. But if it is your week collecting EI payments and you want to travel, baby needs to come with you. The EI payments are for the baby. So if it is your week collecting, you have to bring baby with you in any travels. The second type of parental employment insurance available is called extended. It's the exact same, but this one's available for 69 weeks. Again, the two parents can split these 69 weeks however they'd like, but one parent needs a minimum of 8 weeks. So if it is a single parent or partners who do not both want to go on employment insurance, there is only 61 weeks available. One parent needs a minimum of 8 weeks. If you choose extended parental employment insurance, you only receive 33% of your salary, up to a maximum of $401 per week. So the payments are a lot smaller, but they're available for a lot longer time. It's the same amount of money, just spread out evenly. It's important to have a conversation between you and your partner on if you want to choose standard or extended parental employment insurance. Once you choose one of these types, you cannot switch. Next, compassionate care. This is for if a family member of yours is in critical condition. Technically, this means that they have been diagnosed by a medical professional as only having 6 months left to live, and you are providing end-of-life care for this person. You're going to need medical documentation stating that it is likely this person will pass away within 6 months, and you will need 600 insurable hours, 600 hours worked in the previous year. Compassionate Care EI is available for 26 weeks, which is equal to 6 months. Unfortunately, this will end if the person passes away during this time. You could be anywhere in the world and still collect these payments as long as you are with your family member who is passing away. The last type of employment insurance is for family caregivers. It's split into two categories, one for adults and one for children. You can receive family caregiver EI if somebody in your family is critically ill or injured. This means it is very severe and your family member will require someone else there for support a lot of the time. It's important to note that this also includes mental illness and suicidal ideations. You are going to need 600 insurable hours, 600 hours worked in the previous year. If it is your child who is very hurt or sick, employment insurance is available for 35 weeks. If it's an adult in your life who is very sick or injured and needs your support, it's only available for 15 weeks. Both types of this employment insurance will end if the person heals or recovers. And again, you can be anywhere in the world and collect these payments as long as you are with your family member who is sick or hurt. Any questions?
Yes, we have one question from Astra asking, can both parents apply for parental EI standard at the same time? So taking the same weeks?
So yes, you can take the same weeks. So if you both want 20 weeks of employment insurance, you can take that at the same time. Both of you have 20 weeks, but yes, you can both take it at the same time to answer that question. But if the one parent doesn't want any, there's only 35 weeks available.
Thanks, Kennedy.
All right, let's continue. There are some exceptions of when you can leave Canada and still get your EI payments. So you can leave Canada for 7 days in order to attend a funeral of one of your family members. You can also leave Canada if you need to go with a family member to a medical facility if the treatment isn't available in Canada. You can leave if you want to visit a family member in another country who is very sick or injured. And finally, you can also leave Canada for up to 7 days if you need to attend a bona fide job interview. This just means that the job is a legitimate opportunity. You've spoken with the employer directly and you have documentation of your communication, and the job that you are going to interview for is relevant to your skills and qualifications. So these are the 4 separate scenarios when you can leave Canada and still receive your EI payments. Now, let's talk about applying for employment insurance. After you lose your job or stop working, apply for EI as soon as possible. Do not wait. Technically, you have 4 weeks to apply for EI in order to be considered on time. Easiest way to understand this is the sooner you apply, the sooner your payments are going to come. On a little bit of a higher level, you may lose benefits if you wait too long to apply. So apply as soon as possible. They did not make this easy to understand, but I'm going to explain it in the best way I can. So we know that Service Canada is going to look back at your previous 52 weeks worked. From those 52 weeks, they pick a certain number of weeks where you earned the most money. These weeks where you earned the most money are called your best weeks. The best weeks, or the weeks you earn the most money, determine how much money you will receive while you're on EI. The number of best weeks that Service Canada chooses from your previous 52 weeks worked is based on the unemployment rate of your region. So in places where unemployment is high, that means lots of people in the community do not have jobs, then Service Canada is going to pick 14 of your best weeks. 14 weeks where you earned the most money out of the previous 52. These 14 weeks are going to determine the amount of money you receive while you're on employment insurance. In places where unemployment is low, that means lots of people in the community have jobs, then they are going to pick 22 weeks. 22 weeks where you earned the most money out of your previous year. These 22 weeks are going to determine how much money you receive while you're on employment insurance. Right now, in Calgary, the unemployment rate is about 7.9%. Service Canada says that's pretty average for the rest of the country. So if you apply for employment insurance right now, they are going to pick 20 of your best weeks, 20 weeks where you earned the most money. These 20 weeks are going to determine how much you will receive while you're on EI. Now, let's say you apply on time within 4 weeks of losing your job. Let's pretend this represents your last year worked. All of these little dashes represent 1 week. If you apply on time, Service Canada is going to use the date you lost your job when they determine your previous year worked. And they have these 52 weeks to pick your 20 weeks where you earn the most money. Now, let's say you were late when you applied. Let's say you waited 8 weeks. Then Service Canada is going to use the date they got your application when they determined your previous year worked, instead of the date you lost your job. So when they determine your previous 52 weeks, they will include these 8 weeks where you earned nothing. So when they are looking for your 20 weeks that you earned the most money, they only have these remaining 44 to look through. So the easiest way to understand this is apply on time to give yourself the highest possibility of receiving the most money you can. Now, let's discuss about what you are going to need in order to apply for employment insurance. You're going to need to apply online. If you need any help with this, please contact Workers Resource Center. In order to apply, you are going to need a couple of important documents. The first is your ROE, Record of Employment. This is like a history of your last year. It will tell you some important information, like how many insurable hours you have, how much money you've made, your contact information, and your company's contact information. Your ROE will also include the reason you do not have work anymore, like you were laid off, fired, quit, etc. Most of the time, it is your employer's responsibility to send your ROE directly to Service Canada within 5 calendar days after you stop working. However, sometimes they may drop the ball and send this ROE to your house. Then it is your responsibility to submit it to Service Canada. You will also need to submit your SIN, your mailing address, and your banking information so Service Canada can directly deposit your EI payments. What happens after you apply? Within about 10 days, you will receive a brown envelope to your house. This envelope will contain an access code. The access code does not mean you are approved for the EI program. The access code means you need to start submitting bi-weekly reports to Service Canada. We'll talk about how those reports look in 1 second. If you receive an access code and you do not begin filing your reports, Service Canada will close your EI application so quickly. As soon as you receive this access code, you need to begin submitting your reports. Unfortunately, a lot of Canadians need this financial support program. A lot of people are on employment insurance. The process moves incredibly slowly. Right now, Service Canada is saying that they will provide decisions on if you are approved or not for this program within about 28 days after you submitted your application. The only advice I have to you is be patient and make sure that your application is 100% complete. You can do so by checking your online My Service Canada account. After you are approved for the EI program, unfortunately, there is a 1-week waiting period where you are paid nothing. It's like a deductible for another insurance program, and it's a huge complaint people have about this program. In addition to that, any money coming into your account from your previous job could potentially delay the speed at which you receive your EI payments. So if you get a vacation payout or termination pay, any sort of money coming into your account from your previous job can slow down how quickly you receive your EI payment. Now that we know all about receiving EI, what are some reasons that those payments could stop? Number one, you get a new job. It pays you so much, you no longer receive employment insurance. Number two, you use all of the available weeks. If employment insurance is available for 26 weeks and you do not have a job for 27 weeks, unfortunately, you're on your own. Number three, you missed filing a report. In my opinion, the silliest reason to have your EI payments stop is missing filing one of these reports. They are super simple. Do not miss these reports. Finally, you terminated an old claim and started a new one. This is what I was talking about before, where you had an old claim with 20 weeks remaining, but you chose to start a new one. Not only do you lose those 20 weeks, but you again have to wait that 1 week waiting period where you are paid nothing. Just further reiterates, always choose to reopen your old claim if you are able to. Let's discuss what reporting to Service Canada looks like. As I mentioned before, as soon as you receive that access code in the brown envelope, you must begin reporting. In the brown envelope, there will also be a calendar that tells you the days when you are required to file these reports. Put them in your phone, in your personal calendar. Do not miss these days. The reports need to be filed bi-weekly or 2 times a month, and they are mandatory. There are 2 ways you can file the reports, either over the phone or online. If you have any technology skills, I would recommend doing the reports online because you receive a confirmation code showing you that you submitted everything correctly. The reports look the exact same every time. They ask the same 6 questions. Number 1, has your mailing address changed? Number 2, were you outside of Canada Monday to Friday? Number 3, did you attend school or a training course? Question 4, were you ready, willing, and able to work? You only need to answer yes to question number 4 if you are on regular employment insurance. If you are on any other type, they do not expect you to be ready, willing, and able to work. So you can answer no to that question. Question 5, did you work or earn any wages? Question 6, did you get any money you didn't tell Service Canada about? Now, you technically only need to report money that you earned through employment. So if you get an income tax return, or if someone in your family sends you a money gift, or if someone in your family passes away and leaves you an inheritance, you do not need to tell Service Canada about that money. But if you win the lottery, or if you work any hours, you do need to report that money to Service Canada. Any money you earn through employment, you need to file on these reports. It is so important to tell the truth on these EI reports. If you are caught lying, there are lots of punishments that Service Canada can choose to impose on you. If you choose to lie on your reports, Service Canada can require that you pay 150% of the money you received while you were on EI back to them. They can also keep the bill of money you owe them for 6 years. During this time, it can earn interest. So the bill they send you could be a huge amount of money. Service Canada could also increase the amount of hours you need to qualify. Right now, in Calgary and Edmonton, it's about 600 hours. If you choose to lie on these reports, they could make you require 900 hours before the next time you can apply for employment insurance. Finally, they can criminally charge you with fraud. It is not worth it. Do not lie on these reports. So what happens if your EI application is denied? Unfortunately, if you do not have enough hours worked, there's nothing you can do. That is the number one eligibility factor everyone needs to meet. If you think there might be a clerical error or your hours were not counted correctly, you can file for a reconsideration. After you are denied for EI, you have 30 days to submit for your reconsideration. If your reconsideration is denied, you can then file a formal appeal with the Social Security's tribunal. This is a lengthy and expensive process. You are likely going to need to hire legal representation, and you will need to attend some type of court proceeding. So in order to hopefully avoid this, if you need any help with employment insurance, please contact the Workers Resource Center. As Fiona said at the beginning of this presentation, it's a free service, and our caseworkers are really experienced and successful at helping people through the application process of employment insurance. And that's the end of the presentation, everyone. Are there any questions?
Great, thanks a lot, Kennedy. We do have 2 questions that have come in. So the first one is from Guy. Can you apply for EI through the browser on your phone? And can you submit a paper application instead of doing it online?
Good question, Guy. I have never been asked if you can do it through your phone. I'm sure nowadays with smartphone features, you should be able to, but you can even do it at a public library if you don't have access to a computer at yourself. You can do a paper application. However, it will a lot longer to process than these online applications. So on the Service Canada website, they have a service promise that they're going to look at your application and give you an answer within 28 days. That only applies to online applications. So if you do a paper one, it could take a lot longer.
Okay, great. We also have a question from Helena. If you start a program or link classes, like English classes in the link program, will you lose your EI?
Good question. So there are some exceptions to the schooling rule for employment insurance. Some link programs, you are able to receive EI and still do the courses. Most of these programs are either evening or weekend courses because technically you'd still be able to job hunt and accept a job if it was offered to you. There are some exceptions to this rule. If you are planning on going into a school program or taking a link class, I would highly recommend asking the teacher or the facilitator if they are aware if you're still able to get EI. You should always ask before you take these type of classes to make sure that your financial support will still be there.
Okay, we have one more question here from Helena. How long how long will it take to get an appointment at the Workers Resource Center? I guess either one of us could take that one. I think it happens. We'll respond with our intake coordinator usually responds within about 2 to 5 business days. Kennedy, do you have any idea how long it is to actually meet with a caseworker?
I say that time frame depends on your schedule, but typically they try to get you in within 2 to 3 weeks. So after you speak with our intake worker, they'll pair you with a caseworker, and then our caseworker will reach out to you and talk about your specific scenario. I would say 2 to 3 weeks.
All right, and I think that wraps up everything for tonight. I don't see any more questions. Helena, thanks for your comment. That really appreciate that. Yeah, and everyone have a great night. I'm gonna end the workshop now. Thank you.